Hi, Helena and Elijah. It's Aunt Elisa back with installment 8 of Make Room for Elisa. I am taking a break from the vice presidential debate because I haven't had time all week to record the next chapter, and I'm going to be busy this weekend, and this is so important to me that I am pausing the vice presidential debate so I can make sure I get you the next installment of Make Room for Elisa. If you remember, we had just concluded a chapter where Elisa had just gotten her brand new glasses, and she was commenting on how much better she could see now that she got her new glasses. And this was the illustration of Elisa with her glasses. And we're just getting ready to start a brand new chapter that's entitled Big News. What do you think the big news could be? Let's find out. One Saturday morning in late May, Russell got very angry at Elisa. He was in a hurry to go to a Cub Scouts meeting and was all dressed in his blue uniform. But the yellow scarf that tied under his shirt collar was missing. "I know I left it on the top of the chest of drawers," he complained to his mother. "It can't have gone far. It doesn't have legs," said Mrs. Michaels. She was sitting on a kitchen chair and resting as she looked at the mail. She had just brought it upstairs from the mailbox in the building's lobby. Elisa was sitting at the kitchen table, finishing her breakfast. She didn't pay any attention to Russell. She was too busy picking out all the red cereal bits in her bowl. Next, she would eat the green ones. "Well, you come and look," demanded Russell. "I can't go to my meeting without it." "Calm down," Mrs. Michaels said to Russell. "I'm resting my legs for a few minutes. Look in your drawer. That's where it should be. It doesn't belong on top of the chest." "How come you're always resting these days?" Russell asked. He ran back to the room he shared with Elisa. "Look at this," he shouted when he returned to the kitchen a couple of minutes later. He was holding Airmail, Elisa's rag doll, by the hair. Around Airmail's neck was his missing scarf. Elisa looked up from her bowl of cereal. She had forgotten that Airmail had borrowed the scarf to play dress-up. Russell yanked the scarf off of the doll and threw the doll on the floor. "Elisa has no right to take my things," he shouted. "I don't have any privacy around here. I don't play with her dolls, and I don't want her touching any of my things." Elisa bent down and picked up her doll. "Airmail only borrowed it for a little while," she protested. She kissed her doll and said, "She didn't tear it or get it dirty or anything." "I don't care," shouted Russell. "Don't you dare touch any of my stuff again. Do you hear me?" Tears welled in Elisa's eyes behind her new glasses. "Cub Scouts are supposed to share," she told her brother. "Says who?" Russell demanded. "Okay, let's take it easy here," said Mrs. Michaels. "Russell, you'd better put your scarf on and get going if you don't want to be late for your meeting. And Elisa, here is a job for you. A letter for Mr. and Mrs. Mitchell got into our mail by mistake." The Mitchells were neighbors who lived on the 4th floor. From time to time, the letter carrier accidentally mixed up the Mitchells and the Michaels' mail because their names were similar. "Will you please take it to them, Mrs. Michaels?" asked her daughter. Elisa sniffed back her tears. She nodded her head and smiled. Russell was always the one who went upstairs on errands. This would be the first time she went upstairs all alone. It's apartment 4H, her mother reminded her. Do you know which one that is? Yes, yes, said Elisa, jumping up and down. Good, said Mrs. Michaels, handing Elisa the letter for their neighbors. Elisa walked up the 2 flights of stairs from the 2nd floor, where her apartment was. She looked at the numbers and letters on all the doors and located 4H. Then she rang the doorbell. Mrs. Mitchell opened the door. Why, goodness me, it's little Marissa, she said. I'm not Marissa, I'm Elisa, said Elisa. Of course. I get confused sometimes. What can I do for you, honey? Nothing, said Elisa, but I brought you some mail that got in our mailbox by mistake. She handed the envelope to her neighbor. Aren't you a dear to bring it to me, Melissa, she said. Elisa, Elisa corrected her. Well, it won't be happening much longer, said Mrs. Mitchell. My husband and I are going to be moving in a couple of months, so you won't have to worry about our mail being mixed up. Where are you moving to? Asked Elisa. She was glad that her family wasn't moving away. Connecticut. We bought a house there. Perhaps you and your parents will come and visit, Mrs. Mitchell said, smiling. Oh, goody! I'll tell my mother what you said about visiting you, said Elisa. Well, that's it for now for our installment 8 of Make Room for Elisa. Come back next time when we find out if Elisa and her family will in fact go to Connecticut to visit their neighbors the Mitchells after they move. Make room for Elisa. That's me. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Same channel.